That accompaniment came wirelessly from the iPad into this AP100, and this performance was recorded directly to an iPhone. Today we'll build that setup from the beginning. Hi, my name is Eero Saunamäki. I'm a professional recorder player and saxophone player based in Helsinki, and Grayton sent me this AP100 to do this 3-video tutorial series. This is the 3rd video, and by the end of it you will be able to practice with audio from a phone or tablet and make a clean mobile recording of a complete song. You will need the AP100, one phone or tablet for the basic Bluetooth demonstration, and a compatible USB data connection for the OTG recording. Depending on your own mobile device, you may also need an adapter. For the most reliable recording with a backing track, use a second phone or tablet as the recorder. So why do we need 2 devices? One device sends the accompaniment to the AP100 over Bluetooth, and then the other records the AP100 over a USB data connection. It's very simple, dependable, and easy to troubleshoot. So let's start working with Bluetooth. The Bluetooth audio input with the AP100 receives normal audio from a phone or a tablet. So it can be a backing track, a Metronome app, a lesson video, or any other playback in that sense. So how to connect this AP100 to your phone? When this device starts, Bluetooth normally activates automatically. If you need to check it, go from the main screen by pressing right 7 times or left twice to open Bluetooth settings. Rotate the search dial to switch Bluetooth on. The indicator is green when it's on and gray when it's off. On your phone or tablet, open Bluetooth settings and look for a device named AP100 followed by several numbers or letters. Then select it, and on the first connection it may ask for the password, and that's 8888. And later you should not need the password again. So for example, on this iPad Pro, this Bluetooth audio connection is made normally here in the settings, just like pairing another audio accessory, like an external speaker. Once you have connected the AP100 to a tablet or phone, you can play a familiar piece of audio, and it should come out through the AP100's built-in speaker. So I have Mary had a little lamb over here. I press play, and now the sound comes from here. Not from the iPad, from the AP100. And this is the background. It's good to begin with the phone or tablet volume turned about halfway. And also the AP100 manual recommends turning reverb off on the instrument for Bluetooth accompaniment and avoiding excessive volume, because that can cause distortion. If you want an even fuller playback sound, then you can connect the AP100 to an external speaker or amplifier through this port right here. So it's important to search for a good balance. So you can set the backing track volume first and then play the AP100 over it, and you should hear both the AP100 and the backing track and the attacks and the kind of pulse very clearly. And this is already useful for practice. You can play along with a metronome or a backing track or a slowdown app if you have one. And if the app only plays audio, the normal Bluetooth audio connection is enough. We won't go through Bluetooth MIDI at this point, but if you have an app that displays notation and reacts to the notes you play, look inside that app for its MIDI settings. Choose the AP100 Bluetooth MIDI device as the input if the app supports it. Then test a few notes and check both note recognition and latency before starting a long practice session. On iPhone and iPad, Bluetooth MIDI is usually connected inside the Music app, not in the normal Bluetooth audio menu. For example, GarageBand uses Settings, Advanced, and then Bluetooth MIDI devices, and other apps may use a different menu. Now let's record our session. So the OTG recording sends the AP100 signal directly to a smartphone or a tablet over this USB data cable. And this direct feed is much less dependent on the room than recording the built-in speaker with the phone microphone. So I'm using an Apple device, an iPhone Pro 17, and Apple supports external USB audio devices on iPhone and iPad, but you still need to verify that your exact device, cable, and recording app recognize the AP100. For an iPhone 15 or later, or an iPad with USB-C, begin with the data-capable USB to USB-C cable. A charge-only cable will not work, and this is important. For an older iPhone or iPad with a Lightning port, you have to use an Apple Lightning to USB 3 camera adapter, preferably with power connected to the adapter. Then connect the AP100 using the appropriate USB data cable. A simple charging adapter or charging cable is not a substitute for the USB host adapter. Use a recording app that lets you confirm the external input. For example, the basic voice memo on iPhone will work. Connect the USB-C data cable to the AP100 and connect the other end to the iPhone. And then select your app you want to use. I'll select voice memo. Phones and apps handle external audio differently, so you have to check that the connection is working. So you may want to play a few notes, stop, disconnect headphones if necessary, and listen back. Confirm that the level is clean and that the app actually uses the AP100's input. So let's try. I'll press record, then I'll play. Press stop, and then I'll press play. And it worked perfectly. So for a solo recording, that was the complete signal chain, AP100 to phone by this USB data cable. For performance with accompaniment, use the two device setup shown in the AP100 manual. So device A sends the backing track over Bluetooth to the AP100. And then the device B records from the AP100 through the OTG or USB data cable. And if you want more private or more accurate monitoring, you can connect standard stereo headphones without a microphone plug to the AP100's 3.5mm headphone output, which is here. The manual warns that a headset plug with a microphone connection can affect sound quality. An amplifier or powered speaker is another monitoring option. So, here's my practical home recording checklist. First, charge all devices and put both phones or tablets into Do Not Disturb, but leave Bluetooth available on the playback device. Disable automatic screen locking for the apps you need. Start with reverb off and the backing track volume about halfway. Make a short test. Then listen for distortion, a backing track that masks the melody and any delay between what you play and what you may hear. And save one more test than you think that you need. This advice has survived every recording technology I have ever used. Let's put the setup to work with Mary Had a Little Lamb. We'll use the key of C, a standard fingering, and this simple 8-bar melody. So let's first practice the melody without the recording setup and without blowing to the instrument, and I'll show you how to play the notes that we need. So this is G, which is played with the left hand fingers, index finger, middle finger, ring finger. And then we need E, which is played with right hand, index and middle fingers. Left hand stays the same. And then a D, we add the ring finger from right hand. And C, we add the pinky, and that's it. So now we will go through the melody. 1, 2, 3, 4. E, D, C, D, E, 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 D, 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 E, G, G, E, D, C, D, E, 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 D, D, E, D, C. In the previous videos I have already talked about articulation, but here it is once again. So every time you play a note, your tip of your tongue makes this small movement behind your upper teeth, like saying the syllable D. So, like this. So that makes the sound very clear on this instrument. Previously on this video I have already tried the connections between the iPhone and the AP100 and the iPad and the AP100 work. And now let's bring them all together. This is just a test. So at first we press record here on the iPhone, and then we'll press play here on the iPad. And now let's try just for a couple of notes. Okay, and then we can listen to it by pressing play. At least the backing track is working. It works. So I think the balance was quite good, so now I can record the complete melody. And I leave a little space at the beginning and in the end. Press record here, press play here. Now let's press stop, and now we can listen to what we have accomplished. Yes, and since it's an Apple device, the Bluetooth connection works automatically also between the iPhone and the AP100, although I have just kind of connected it to the tablet. So that was the complete workflow. So Bluetooth audio brings accompaniment into the AP100 over Bluetooth. And then the OTG or USB recording sends the AP100's audio directly to a compatible mobile device. And I think there's this important habit of making this short test and listening back before the real performance, because 10 seconds of checking can save maybe 10 minutes of wondering why there's no sound. So, thank you for joining me for this great AP100 tutorial series. I hope these videos helped you move from the first notes to making expressive music and even recording it at home. Now you can choose a song that you really like, keep the setup really simple and press record.